thanks for joining me. My name is Alper. I'm a registered clinical counselor, psychotherapist. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. You're probably finding me on my website here, alpercharlian.com, or perhaps you're on my YouTube channel, Gems for Inner Transformation. My work is my life's passion. All my life, I've been so interested in personal growth, and probably like you, I've been also really taken by life's challenges. Life is by no means easy. Being a human being on this very complicated world is often very challenging. And unfortunately, we don't necessarily have a user's manuals about how to really deal with these big existential challenges in life. So I believe counseling psychotherapy has a lot to offer in this way. If you're familiar with therapy, perhaps you already know the incredible value that it can have to your life. If you're new and if you're considering, I'm especially delighted that you're feeling an impulse to check this out. It's something that I believe that can be good for everybody. Unfortunately, there can still be a little bit of a stigma around counseling. Maybe people may think, we go to counseling when we have big problems, big issues. And of course, counseling can be very helpful when we're going through a big crisis and there's a lot to take care of. But I sincerely believe counseling is for everybody. So even if you were feeling very good in your life, I would be very happy to hear that. I still believe that counseling may be able to help you to enhance your life. You may be very successful at work, but maybe you would like to improve your home relationships. Maybe, things are going really well, but you're wondering, when are you going to give more time for yourself? Perhaps, a passion, a hobby that you have. So counseling can be a benefit for everyone. I worked for Vancouver Community College for 16 and a half years, and I would give these introductory presentations about counseling services. And I always said a counselor is very much like having a personal trainer. I don't know if you've ever worked with a personal trainer. I can only tell you that from my experience, it went so beyond my wildest expectations. I thought I could work out on my own, but having a professional trainer who was there to motivate me and challenge me and teach me things incredibly increased my performance. So for me, having a good counselor, somebody that you really connect to, can be an incredible support in your life. So, a few words about therapy. First of all, I'm a big believer that change is possible. No matter how many hardships that you may have faced in your life, the traumas and losses, we may not be able to change the actual events that happened. That's part of life. But the impact that those events have in our inner psyche, what's happening in our inner psyche is something that we can always improve. And a trained counselor can be extremely, extremely helpful with that. Because sometimes these are not easy things to deal with. We're perhaps afraid of our emotions, we're maybe overwhelmed, maybe we just can't find a way out, and maybe you may even be believing that maybe change is not possible for you. So that's where I come into the picture. My role is to hold that hope for you because I sincerely believe it's possible and to guide you. I think guidance can be very helpful for our inner life. Again, we don't necessarily have a user's manual. We get lost in our thoughts and our feelings, and it feels like an unsolvable mess. But my job will be to help to guide you to learn about yourself, to learn about your inner life, and to realize that we don't have to be overtaken by these emotions and by these thoughts. There's a way to learn to really navigate through them and to understand yourself deeply and to see if there are some changes that you would like to make for yourself. So I believe change is possible. I believe therapy doesn't have to be extremely difficult. In fact, I believe the best therapy is a gentle, loving, heart-centered therapy. Modern psychotherapy has come a long way. Some of the older ideas of psychotherapy being, you're laying on a couch and being drilled into your subconscious is not the case anymore. There are ways to work with our psyche that are gentler and that are a lot more empowering. So one of my firm beliefs in therapy is that I believe therapy needs to be change focused and it should be empowering. Of course, we're going to look at maybe some of the challenging things and the obstacles in your life, But I would say even more so, we're going to look at what's going on right in your life and in yourself. I believe that there's a light inside of every person, no matter what has happened to in our lives, and maybe that light is covered up, maybe we can't even see that light, maybe we've forgotten that light. But the process of therapy is to remember who we truly are. Underneath the rumble, perhaps, underneath the history, perhaps, my job is to help you rediscover yourself and to find that inner light. And that's that inner energy, that beautiful, loving, positive energy that helps us to truly transform, both from the inside and the outside. I also want to say that, of course, many times maybe we cope with our challenges on our own. We get help from family and friends, and we should always do that. But there is an advantage of working with a professional. The years of training, I can't tell you how much training I've done because I love it and I continue to do. So there's an incredible advantage with working with somebody who has the experience. And in my case, I'm such a firm believer that everything that I offer to a client are things that I use in my own personal life, things that I have found very helpful in my own personal counseling sessions and ongoing trainings. So I offer to you what I aspire to live in my life. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I wish for you from my heart whatever it is that you're most deeply longing for and yearning for in life. I think our yearnings are so important. Perhaps you're yearning for inner peace. Perhaps you're yearning for that sense of self-love and self-acceptance. Perhaps you're yearning to be free of the critical mind and to feel like you can fully, for once maybe, see yourself in a favorable way. And perhaps you want better relationships. Perhaps you want more intimacy and connection. Perhaps you want to be true to yourself. And perhaps you want to be more successful. You want to go after your dreams and create a life that's truly meaningful for you. And these are the things that I truly wish for you. And I would be honored if you have a chance to meet in person and if I can support you in some way. Take care.